Well, what's the crack? How's it going? You're all very welcome to episode 9 of the Harden Up Podcast. I'm Tom Mahony.
And I'm Owen Colgan. Tom, we're getting harder.
I was wondering when you were going to say it to me.
Fuck, it just came out of nowhere, but we're getting harder. Can't believe it's 9 podcasts already.
9 podcasts, technically 10, because I called our first one Finding Ourselves, because that's what it was. I didn't want to call it
the old pilot jobby.
I didn't want to call it a pilot one, but we're finding ourselves.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, Tom. Nothing wrong with finding yourself. It seems like every man and his dog is doing podcasts nowadays. Do you know what I mean? But not to say that they're not good, because it's nice to have a conversation, but I must have been on about fucking 5. People asked me to be on different podcasts the weekend, and I was fucking wrecked by the end of it, just chatting to people.
At least this is on your own terms. You could just shout at me if you want for the next fucking hour.
But you know what? They take a bit of stamina. Like, I was talking to my mother after I did the 5 of them, and I was like, I've nothing left to say to you, love.
It's true. It's fucking true, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're a family of small words anyway, but even I had the mother on the up the other day, and she was like, and like that, I was after doing a fucking 2-hour one. And she was just, well, tell me all. And I'm like, I know. How do you feel? I'd start talking to the mother about the UFC, because that's all I had to fucking talk about.
That the tank was getting empty when you start talking about the UFC. And the mother always asks you the open-ended questions like, what did you talk about? You know, like, there's never specific questions. It's always like, tell me everything that's inside your brain right now. And
they'll ask it 4 different ways as well. You're like, Jesus, you asked me that already. Yeah. And what did he say? And did he say it now? Oh, go away out of that, just as a gas man. What was he saying to you again? Oh,
yeah.
And I don't know, maybe that was always the way, but as I'm getting older, and I don't know, when people repeat themselves, saying the same fucking thing to you 4 times, like, lad, we had this 30 seconds ago, we had this question, why are you asking me it again? Like, it just starts to fucking brain me. But it is true. Yeah. It is true. I've helped set up a bunch. I'd say in the last fortnight, there must be 8 lads I'm after giving them. And I need to start doing tutorials on setting up a fucking podcast.
There's a genre in itself. A podcast about how to set up podcasts.
Trust me, some cunt is already there. I guarantee you. There's probably 500 fuckers already there. Like.
But even on Instagram, like, you see people popping up pages, it's like the something and something podcast, or the on the ball, off the ball, inside the ball, over the ball, fucking under the ball.
Fucking the ball. Just simple
as that. Fucking the ball. Who took the ball home with them?
You know, it's always like snappy. Like, we just harden up or whatever. It's always snappy things. I think if I was to do a sports one, because there's so many sports ones, I think I'd call it something like ball burst going home. Do you know what I mean? Just an ignorant negative fucking podcast, like, just about sport.
Yeah, just one that stands out because it's just so ignorant. You're like, the ball is gone, go, I'm off fucking home, or something like that. Yeah.
Thanks for the use of the hall. Good night, thanks. Turn off the lights after you come.
Did you have derby footballs back in the day?
What do you mean? Oh, yes. Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah. Wow. That is, oh man, that's some blast from the past. That's right up there with fucking Cadet Cola now, that is. Fucking hell. Derby footballs. Yeah.
You'd give it a good fucking belt for the top corner, and it just kind of like move like that. You kind of have a bit of a spasm in the air.
And there were bastards and there was another one, they were champion, I think, but they were hard as fucking, and if they froze at all outside in the yard. Do you know the ones I'm on about? And you go out with the trainer.
I know it's a champion on the front. There were white balls, and they'd maybe a bit of a red dot on them or something like that.
That's it. And they made an orange one as well. And you'd hit it a fucking lash. Well, you may be kicking a concrete fucking block.
They'd do a number on your foot altogether, yeah.
Bad bastards in the buildings, if there was no football around at all. Oh, they were bad fuckers. They'd fill it up with mortar. Because the champion never lost shit shape. It was a plastic ball anyway.
Yeah.
And of course,
in fairness to the champion, he always kept in good shape. That was the one thing that the champion had gone from.
He was a fucking hedge kind of ball. He never let himself go. In fairness, never let himself.
Always kept up appearances. Fair play to the ball. But you might get a derby sometimes, and it looked like, Jesus Christ, someone had melted it.
I remember leaving one in the car one time on the way to the beach, and we got that. This is a bit of a right joke now for the beach, and it was probably only maybe 5 or 6 down to Tramore in County Waterford. By the time we got there, the fucking thing was like a fucking piece of chewing gum, just stuck to the back window. The outfit giving out yards. Fucking.
Oh, Christ above.
This stinking plastic ball didn't come out of the car for about 2 months afterwards. It was just fucking horrendous.
Do you remember the time you got your first football, the first Mitra football?
I do, yeah, I do. Because we did a gravel yard and a concrete yard. And Jesus Christ almighty. Because you could take it down the field, all right. Sure, the fields were never cut like a fucking pitch. So you'd be kicking around the yard and a force mark that would come on it. Because, of course, being a decent leather ball, kicking around on gravel or concrete, they're going to fucking ruin the thing, like.
Yeah. But you always felt like you were the top boy in school when you had a Mitra football. But yeah, that didn't really last that long. Somebody
gave me a blast from the past the other day. I got these gloves. I was showing to you. You can pick up anything up to 400 degrees with these gloves, right? They're for the barbecue. So
right.
I swear to God. But they're black wool. They're almost like a wool, thick wool, but they've got red lines all over them, right? Which was only somebody, when I put them up on Instagram, people went, are they the Mikasa fucking autumn brand or something? I was going, Mikasa? Where do I know Mikasa from?
They're the yellow and black ones, no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Blast from the past, pal.
Oh man, I used to love them. You'd be kind of rubbing your hands together, and you wouldn't be able to get too much friction on them because there was great grip on them.
And they'd fucking stink if you left them wet then inside the gear bag, wouldn't they?
Oh, they'd be like a wet fish.
How was your week?
It's been pretty good. Like sometimes it seems like I always go into a loop of like I'll do very well, and I'll be like I'll do a lot of running, I'll eat very healthy, I'll do a lot of podcasts, do a lot of writing, and then I'll be like I deserve a load of drink, and then I'll have a load of drink, and then I'll end up being like, oh God, what am I doing with my life? And then I'll have to reassess my whole career again, and it's sort of like a vicious circle. So I'm trying to crack that cycle, you know, by maybe cutting down on the booze.
What was the booze situation? Let me know. I need to drink with fucking people, to be honest with you. I'm drinking by myself out the back.
I know. Yeah, no, me too. I could, because like I'm living back in Mayo and Outtown, I have this like my own little room here. So I had to come in here and myself and my missus, we sometimes pop down to the shop for biscuits. Yeah. Just when I'm not doing podcasts, we'll be eating biscuits, you know?
Yeah. Biscuit sales have gone through the fucking roof.
Oh.
I put up a...
The Mikado boys are cleaning up.
I put up a whatchamacallit a couple of weeks ago, and I thought it was a general observation that 49 cents fucking chocolate digestives in Super Value are going to be the ruination of it. And I wasn't wrong. The amount of people that actually messaged me going, oh lad, I can't start a packet of chocolate digestives. You have to go the whole way down.
You have to go the whole way down. If they're in the house, Tom, they're going to be gone. My problem, I'm sure you have the same. If I have something in the house, if it's bad for you, it's going to be gone, whether it be drink or whether it be sweets or chocolate. I just have to fucking have it. So went down to the shop the other day and I said, it was kind of, the sun wasn't even out, but I was like, is it kind of sunny? Will I get a bottle of wine for myself? No, I wasn't even going to be outside, Tom. And anyways, I came back and I was doing a bit of writing, and inside my head I was like, oh yeah, this is brilliant stuff, because I'd been drinking a small bit thinking it was very good. But then I ended up polishing the bottle in about an hour and 10 minutes, and just went back into the missus with big red cheeks and kind of like spent the rest of the evening confused. Just walking in and out of rooms, like not really knowing what I was doing, going, why did I drink this much, you know? And you know, like there's a time and place for the drink. I do believe that, like, and you know, if you can pick your fights, pick your battles, then you're in a good place. So
I had it worked out when we were in normal times. I had my drinking worked out. I would have no responsibility before or after the event or during the event. But now it seems I've started to combo it with, sure, I'll cook the dinner half cut. And now all of a sudden herself is going, where's the meat? Fuck.
Yeah, so you're forgetting large portions of the meal because of the booze.
You know?
Yeah.
I put totally wrong stuff into the fucking meat, into the chicken wings there the week before last. And they look great. But as soon as I bit into them, I went, oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know what shit I put in on top of them. It was not the right fucking thing, and the whole lot had to go in the bin. Sure, of course, I was langers. I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
And pots and pans fucking steaming up.
And of course, I think I'm fucking Jamie Oliver inside there, flying around the place. Like. But I've had to tone it down a small bit, but I'm starting to tone it down because in the sense of the strength of it too. I was going into old Aldi there, and they've stuff It's called Brown Bear beer. It's just fucking 6 or 7%. You'd fucking run the car on the stuff.
Two or three of those, and you'd know about it. Like, you wouldn't be doing much cooking after that.
Well, I started one the other day on an empty stomach, and I'm not having it halfway down. It was like, oh, big red cheeks of me walking around the fucking house, steaming.
Yeah.
Couldn't find my shoes anywhere.
The thing is, though, there is a time and a place. You have to say it, because you enjoy the drink a lot more when you don't do it all the time. But if you're like kind of wait it the whole time, I don't know. It's like it's novelty a bit for me. So I'm trying to keep it down to once every 2 weeks, I think.
That's a good call. I think I might give it a miss this weekend. Yeah, that's a good call. Yeah. And then
what do you replace it with, though? Because it's like it's the golden present at the end of the week, you know.
Unless I get a big massive bag of jellies or something, but then I'll just be dying from that as well. Like, fuck's sake.
Yeah, get the jelly hangover. Christ. How do you explain that to the neighbours? What's wrong with your man? Are you fucking had too many jellies?
He went bananas on the fucking jelly babies last night. He's gone wrong.
Yeah, plus if you do something crazy shit, you can't be like, fucking sorry about that, I had too many jellies. But if you have a bottle of wine, like, and you run around the place a bit naked, you're like, Ara, we blame the wine on that one, lads. Do you know? So with the jellies, you don't really get away with it. I'm living next door to a pub, Tom, and I was in there today.
What?
Your man let me in there because he was just, well, I kind of know the neighbour a small bit, like, and he just let me in there for a look. But I had an old beer in there when I was in there, and don't know if I should be saying this. I might have to cut this bit out of the podcast. But
did he charge you for it?
It was nice.
Did he charge you for it?
No.
Well, then that's fine.
No.
That's fine.
Okay, it's all above board. Well, I'm happy to hear that. So, but it was nice to be in there, and I was playing a bit of pool, and just the sound of the white ball going down the table, I was like, please give me more of this. The thing is, Tom, it's just like the illusion. I don't know if it's the illusion or what we're brought up with in Ireland, but like, it's almost like the drink is your reward at the end of the week, and nobody ever told me what I should replace it with. If I don't drink, what do I replace it with? I know you can go running and everything like that, but sure, what are you going to be doing at 11 o'clock at night?
But sure, this is it. Like, I mean, I think a lot of nations, I don't know. You see, this is why we're good crack too. Like, I mean, people, they have been trying to push it on us a fair bit, like going, oh, we should be more European, you know, have one fucking little wine at 6 o'clock in the evening out in the plaza. And you're like, listen here to me, fucking Pedro. It's pissing down fucking rain 9 out of the 12 months in this fucking place. It's dark as a fucking bag 8 out of the 12 months in the fucking place. Would you not let us fucking have something? There was a great line years ago. There was a pub up the road from us, and it was called The Tatch. Quite literally, it was a attached pub, but it was more like a fucking detached is what it was, because all the headbangers that would be inside in this place. But it used to get raided every We'd be doing those conspiracy guys long podcast, 7 hours if I was to start talking about the likes of fucking handbag, Sylvester. Oh Lord!
You could write a book on them.
Like, serving me no bother when I was 15, not a bother. But because I worked, they didn't care about my age. I just care about where I worked. I worked in the pig farm up the road. So it's like, for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah,
that's good enough, you know. But they got raided. This is down the rural country road now. Fucking nothing else down there. Nothing else down this road. Bar sheep and fucking bad memories. You know, nothing of. And for about the 15th time they got raided, and when it came up in front of this notorious judge, he basically put his head in his hands and went to the guard, would you not leave him alone?
That's a bit of common sense though, you know.
He says these people are in a deprived area, and it went out on the newspaper, and of course people were in uproar. They were going, deprived? We're not fucking deprived. You're going, you fucking are, lads, and you deserve to have an alcoholic beverage. Like, these people deserve this song, you know what I mean?
Yeah. In places like France, I know, like, they only have one or two drinks. Maybe they do it the right way. I don't know, but like, it's just hard to say no to one. That's the problem. Like, you open in the doorway. Like, as soon as you have one, you're opening up that key.
Yeah, and I tell you, I've seen other nationalities. You know, they'll sit around, 5 of them will sit around sipping maybe one or two drinks at a table and say nothing to each other.
Oh yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah.
Now, if that was the case, if I had nothing to say to the other four fellas at the table, I'd fuck off home too.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, definitely. I used to live with a load of Venezuelans, and like we'd be drinking. They'd like, well, this weekend we're going to go drink. I was like, all right. We go down to the off license and it'd be like them. They'd get a 6-pack, and I'd have a 6-pack for myself. And I'd be like, geez, I thought you said you were going drinking. They're like, oh yeah, we're going drinking like a beer each. And I was like, step it up a small bit, will you?
You're making a fucking show of yourself.
Making a fucking show me of here, mate. No, but that's not. I don't want to be sounding like I'm condoning the drink. I'm just saying that it's deep within the Irish culture, or it certainly was. I don't know if it's the same as it was before though, because there's a lot of pubs that probably won't open up again.
There is, yeah, there is. I see somebody sent a video of one from Stockholm, and glazing specialists are making a fortune in Stockholm, it would seem. They glazed off the whole fucking bar. It was weird. You could see everywhere, but floor to ceiling glazing in around every table, and it like an invisible corridor to the jacks. It was weird, man. It was weird. Somebody was.
What do you mean? I don't understand. Glazing.
So windows, basic glass everywhere, clear glass everywhere. So they had little booths around every table. They built a corridor down the middle of it, of glass. So if you kind of looked at it with kind of squinty eyes, it would look like the whole place looks normal. But as soon as you start focusing, you'd realize, oh, come in. Everything is a glass box. Like, what the fuck do you do?
The Swedes, I don't think that they took the whole coronavirus too seriously. I think they had the herd mentality for the whole thing, because so maybe the Swedes know something we don't know.
Maybe they do. Maybe it's a case of, burnout. Herd mentality is what they call it. Yeah.
That's what they call it. Yeah. So sorry, Tom, I should ask you, how was your week? Sorry.
You're all right. It's, the chances are very little happened. That's the thing. Nobody's asking each other how. People are frightened to ask me, well, how are you getting on? The same as I was last week,
Yeah.
I
Groundhog Day.
I helped out a fella next door with a bit of building work today, and I did not realize that he had as much needed doing as he fucking needed doing. Oh, right. Jesus Christ. I don't know when I last picked up that many concrete blocks and broken bits of concrete blocks around the place. The fucking hands are pulled off me. They're barely there. They're almost worn off down to fucking stumps. I am gone as soft. You mind your fucking gyms. I tell you one thing. You mind any of them fucking gyms. Put a lad in around horse and block twice a week, even. Just twice a week for 2 hours. And that's it. Say no more. You don't need no fucking gym. I sweated bullets today. And I'm passionate. Fucking tongue stuck to
They're
the top.
construction athletes, yeah.
And he this other lad working there, and he was only an old bag of bones to look at him like. And he was fucking smoking a joint and everything first thing in the morning. And he just had there, and he could catch 1 6-inch block with one hand and one with the fucking other. And the same fucker, he's that skinny, if he turned him sideways, he could mark him absent. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah. So what, he was knocking around the side stone, was he?
Yeah, well, I'd say that he's sort of filling out to take 10 joints to get this fella stoned. Do you know what I mean? This was only an old leveler, like, you know what I mean? He's like, he was a beer in the old green, you know. I was like, no, I don't know. First thing in the morning. I don't drink. He says, fair enough. But also, I'm not drinking.
I'd love to look at the shape of the house once it's done.
I think this fella was only good for pushing it out of brush or whatever. But I had no idea how fucking out of shape I was in the way of construction strength. Is a different type of strength, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah. And you think to yourself, if I'm this fucked after one day, how are these other lads here? How are they so lively after, doing it their whole life? I have a neighbour, and he's just like, I think he was born on the construction sites, because he's not even in good shape, but he could lift up blocks with his hands, and he has a son. You know the way there's always like some sort of mystical story about like some lad who lifted the mixer out of the trailer, and he didn't even need to. It was a 2-ton mixer. Like, just the numbers are all over the place. But this lad, himself and his son, they go around and they build walls and stuff like that. And just like I work with them for one day, and I was like, my back was fucked, but I didn't want to say anything. But they're at it their whole life since they were maybe 14 or 15. It's good to do it like for a day or two here or there to realize that you don't want to do it all the time, I
mean, it's an honest day's fucking work. You know what I mean? And, as honest as it comes. Like, and could I work in a shop? No, absolutely not. I could work, on a construction site. I might be a grumbly old bastard, but I'm, fucking blue collar redneck fucking bloke. I know my heritage. That's what I'm supposed, But at the same time, like, you're looking at, and it was this buddy lad. I'd say he was maybe 5 foot, but he had a fucking back on him. I could see him across the way, like, he had a fucking back on him.
Yeah.
And he 3 planks, 3 fucking long, fucking 8-foot planks, scaffolding up on his shoulder. I'd be fucking pissing myself with one. This kind of horse and 3 of them. Like, and rolling a flag with one hand. Rolling a fucking Golden Virginia with one hand. Like, while doing that. Like,
and the thing is, well, is like, you can't be telling them you're inside doing podcasts, because they'd be like, what? Because they'd be like, you know, like the neighbor was asking me, he's like, how was your day, Owen? He calls me Owen all the time. And I feel awful guilty, because I'm like, oh, sure, I was only in the fucking house editing a video, and you're out here slaving away, you know. So it's, there's good things and bad things to be taken from both careers, you know, because I think it's a lot to be said for, you know, not breaking your back as well.
I let it slip accidentally first thing this morning. I was just horsing out this fucking kind of wheelbarrow stuff, like, and the man, 2 of the lads started listening in, like, the man says, do you a bit with the acting and stuff? Do you a bit of that? And of course, the fucking absolute egomaniac in me went, oh, well, of course. And as it was coming out of my mouth, on, this is because I'm such a long-winded, talky cunt, that I couldn't shut myself up. I was like, well, now that you mention it, I do a bit of podcasting as well. And it was like if I rubbed my Mickey across their 3 faces all at the same time.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I got this response.
Yeah.
How
do you explain it?
The way they speak in Wicklow is it's non-sarcastic. It's sarcastic, but they don't mean it to be. Like, after I said that, the voice froze for about 3 seconds. The man went, well, you may get on and do a bit, and just found a way. That was, it was the way he said it. Almost any other accent wouldn't have sounded as good. We may get on and do a bit. It was like, we may get on and do a bit. Yeah. I started crying.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah,
crying.
There's a bit of a guilt there. Yeah, but you're like, if you were there for like 9 or 10 years on the sites, and I was on the sites for I'd say about 5 years in total. It's plenty enough time to be on there.
Oh, yeah. You earned your stripes.
What do you make about the overlord of the podcast world, Joe Rogan, making 100 million and moving to Spotify?
I wouldn't mind. Our podcast has been up on Spotify for the last 3 months, and nobody's given us a fucking bean. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's the long game though, isn't it? Like, if we stayed in construction for like as long as, well, then again, how long is Joe Rogan doing the podcast?
He's doing it since early 2000s, mid 2000s, is it?
He's a long time at it, like, you know. So I think we stick at it that long, you'd never know.
Oh yeah, well, he's into the thousands, isn't he, of episodes? But I actually tweeted the other day because he had Tom Green on, and I had Tom Green on my podcast years ago, and I was saying, I'm not saying myself and Joe Rogan can be best friends, but we did both have Tom Green on the podcast. And in fairness, Tom Green, he shared it as well. Like,
how in the fuck did you get Tom Green onto the podcast? I was actually watching his old shows today, and I was watching his stand-up. I was watching his stream that he does, where people call him in. Tom Green is a hero of mine. He's a legend.
Well, I just waited at the airport and I choked the cunt out. And then when he woke up in the boot of my Passat, I stuck a mic. No.
Stuck a lapel mic on him.
No, I toured with him around Ireland. I opened for him all around Ireland. It was the weirdest thing.
How did you swing that one?
Because I can drive on. I showed up in my saloon car, thought it'd be grand to pick a man up. Didn't realise he was bringing a videographer who had a big giant case of shite. And he'd a woman with him. She's long gone now at this stage. And she'd a fucking case, man. It fit. Like, you would not put this into a Vectra boot, I found out. And so I rock up and Tom says, yeah, that's not going to do. I says, well, Tom, this is what I was told. So I had to ring his agent in the UK to go tearing around Dublin, looking to hire a Jeep. Had to boot it up to the airport. Right. Tom didn't give a fuck. He went, I don't know what to tell you, Tom. I was told you were turning up with a big enough yoke flat. So we'll just hang out here so and have coffee. We'll be inside in town. I says, do that. So Tom, so I had to boot it up to the airport. Got the very last fucking Jeep that they had. Came tearing down and threw the 3 of them into the fucking thing. Booted as hard as I could go down to Limerick. Opened from a Limerick. And we were off. We were grand then. He relaxed then. In fairness, he turned around. He'd been texting your man back and forth, the agent. And it's only when we got to Limerick afterwards, after the gig in Limerick, he went, wow, I didn't realise all the stops you had to pull out to pull that fucking thing off, like, you know, to get that joke. It's great. Good crack.
I can imagine. Geez, that's a great story. So you were travelling around the country with them. You picked them up at the airport and you went to 3 gigs with them. You got to gig with them, backstage, hang out with them and all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah. Like, we went down to... I wrote him a joke that he fucking loved. And it was the weirdest thing. We went to... where did we go? Because we did the scenic route. Because we bags of time. We went to Limerick, obviously. Like I said, that was straight down the motorway. Because we were fucking behind. We were late. And he, in fairness, he was kind of nervous. He goes, man, we're fucking late. I went, okay, fuck up. I was just silly. Because I know Limerick crowds. So I went on. And some fella piped up. Lippy cunt, like this. Yeah, where the fuck are you? I says, and you can shut your fucking mouth too before I come off the stage and make you fucking eat this microphone, you cunt. Wait! Because I knew what they were like. They were just... And after that then, in fairness, Green was...
They're rowdy. They're rowdy in Limerick, yeah.
You know, in fairness, then he could relax. He was like, oh, they're a bunch of mad fuckers. Grand job.
Yeah.
You know, so he was happy out then. And then we drove up the coast road. Then we went up the Wild Atlantic Way, up to Galway.
Yeah.
And we stopped everywhere for coffees and ice creams everywhere. Because his woman, the girl, and the videographer were lovely. So apparently I'm going to be in his DVD or his special, his travel special when they releases it. But they were gone.
How long ago was this?
Just 2 years ago anyway.
Right. I thought you were talking like 10 years ago. Jeez, that's not so long ago at all.
No, it's maybe about, was it 2.5 years ago? Yeah, about 2.5 years ago, yeah.
Did he give the game up for a while and he come back, or what was the story?
He did, yeah, he did. He checked out, but sure, I mean, he was tipping away grand. He made a fucking fortune.
Oh man, he was away. He was like the guy that set up like the whole pranking sort of thing. He was probably one of the first people to do that stuff. Like he used to be pranking his owl pair and all that other stuff. So
long before Jackass. Like,
yeah, he was definitely ahead of the game.
Well, he invented podcasting more or less. Like, you know what I mean? He was on the fucking money with it. But he did all right. Like, he's a lovely spot there in LA. He's a lovely couple of cars. You know, he did all right over it. Like, you know, but it turned out like he wasn't sure what to make because I was taking the piss, and I think he wasn't used to fellas taking the piss.
Yeah, the different sort of tempo of comedy.
Yeah, just the two was back and forth, and he was. But after about an hour then of chatting, he was like, oh. Right.
Yeah. I can imagine if it was the other way around and you were going to America and you met somebody, you'd be kind of like, you know, you'd be weighing each other up for the first hour anyways.
Oh, yeah. And on top of that, too, he'd had people kissing his arse for the best part of his life, too. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well, yeah, no, and it was great. The gigs were great. The people were very, very responsive. Like, and God, picked up a good bunch of fans. I wouldn't call them fans, but you know yourself, like, picked up a lot of followers as a result of it, you know, that kind of way. Loyal people too, like, you know. But go back to your main question, Joe Rogan. I suppose the idea is, how cute are Spotify? To stump up 100 million. That's some roundy number, isn't it? 100 million, Joe.
It is.
100 fuck. I guarantee you that's not a bargaining number. That sounds like the first number that came out when Joe went, what? You know?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
You'd get to 108 million or you'd get to 94 in a bargain. You know, a to and fro. That sounds to me like some fella put a check out in front of Joe. How many zeros will I put on this show?
What's going on though? Isn't it nuts the way like the likes of people like Joe Rogan are making 100 billion, and apparently like Jeff Bezos became a trillionaire during the lockdown. Like, because everyone's probably buying shite on Amazon, you know.
I'm there with him.
Bottle of wine at night time, be on Amazon buying all sorts of fucking.
Come here, I'm buying barbecue fucking gear that I don't need at all. Do you know what I mean? I bought barbecue coals the other day, accidentally. I was only looking at them before I knew it. And I actually had the yoke bought. And I turned to herself. I went, did I just buy that? She went, you did? Yeah, you did. You did, Tom. I went, gee, how are they going to deliver a big bag of coal? By jeez, they did. Landed a big box of fucking coal landed on there the other day. I was like,
do you have Prime?
Yeah, herself has it. Yeah, herself has it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
so I should look at she knows all about that. So it's free delivery for a big heavy yoke. Like, your man must have been cursing me inside the van going, look at this cunt with his Prime box.
Yeah.
And he fucking made me haul this up the yard. Bastard. I wonder what he got. Probably lovely. Not realising there's only an old bag of coal that I could have gotten down the fucking super value.
Even when himself and the wife broke up, I think she just automatically became the 4th richest woman in the world because of the money she got from the breakup or whatever like that. But it's just fucking sick money, isn't it?
Oh, lad, 100,000 would change a fella's life if he knew what he'd do to do with it. Like. Do you know?
He would, yeah, no, definitely, yeah. Like 100 million, it'd almost be too much. You'd nearly like not know what to do with it, and then you'd end up having lads calling over to the house going, "Geez, how are you, Colgan? I haven't seen you since school. How's life? Who's this lad?" And then you'd be like, "She's come here. Hey, do you want to go for a fucking couple of pints?" You'd be like that lad in England. What was his name? Was it Carroll or something like that? He won a load of money. Yeah, and he ended up fucking hanging out with a load of fucking hang-on merchants and
didn't the fucking UVF go over to him? Billy fucking Johnny Adair went over.
They did, that's right, they fucking did.
And bled him for a
UVF crew headed over. Yeah, that's right, they did actually, yeah, I seen that documentary.
You know you've been busting out the old fucking MasterCard too often when the UVF turn up to your door for a party, don't you?
Oh yeah, that's when you know, like you know what, call the bank, cancel the card, let's the UVF here.
So we'll step it back a small bit. But I don't know. Yeah, I mean the lotto. That's for another podcast, you know, because we've all had lotto notions. That's the one communal thing I think we've all had notions about the fucking lotto. What we do with it. But even 100 million. I mean now they've locked. I didn't know they did videos on Spotify, so they've locked everything in. But what they've done there is 100 million just fucking gone out of their bank account, and they'll never get it back after a road. But what they have got is every other big cunt now is going to go, oh. I don't need 100 million, but would you give me 500,000 to go over to you? Because Joe was making a fucking fortune out of that podcast anyway, with the advertising. Now I wonder would he cut all the advertising? That'll probably what will happen.
Probably will, like, because it's not really like if you're getting 100 million, everything else pales into comparison. So I think like I'd say Joe Rogan at this point of his career though, like, because he didn't have to take anything, like, really. So I'd say he'll keep something in there. The kind of fella Joe seems to be, I'd say he'll definitely have advertisements in it somewhere. To be honest, I actually don't hear them anymore because I have that ad blocker. So there's none of those adverts that come up before or after, or even, I don't hear any of his advertisements anymore.
Oh, don't you?
Except for that on it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he drops enough names throughout his podcast too, like of lads. You know what I mean? The best job is to get halfway friendly with Joe Rogan and send him something. Do you know what I mean? Because he will fucking mention it 14 times in this fucking episode, like between the Yeti coolers and the fucking hype bows that he's fucking using the whole time, like he'll have changed fellas' lives like by just mentioning their stuff. I'd say he's dying to get McGregor on, but McGregor's cute enough. McGregor's cute enough by he knows full well you can't go on a 3-hour podcast with a fella who can talk. You know what I mean? He can talk,
and he's got no real agenda either. Like, especially a man who's getting 100 million into his pocket, he doesn't really have anyone to side with, you know. So he doesn't have to kind of go with any agenda like probably lads in the UFC do. So I'd say you're right. McGregor's too cute to go on there, just for now, anyways. But I'd say down the line he might go on it. Maybe when he's about 50 or 60.
Yeah, when he's probably retired, long out of it, like, and it means nothing to him.
Yeah.
But he, because people have asked him when are you going to go on Rogan, you know, like anyway,
I reckon if McGregor went on to Joe Rogan's podcast, it'd probably be the biggest podcast ever. I'd say it'd be the biggest numbers ever seen on a podcast. I think the biggest now is Alex Jones and Joe Rogan. I think.
Is it? Oh, it's well worth a listen.
I think it's yeah, it's a great one. Oh man, I fucking Alex Jones, for better or for worse, is the best crack going.
He's some value for money by, isn't he?
Unbelievable, man. Just the fucking energy he has. And even if you watch him from 10 years ago to his voice has completely changed because of all the shouting he does be doing.
Oh, I also made another major faux pas today. I mentioned not bad enough that I mentioned I was a bit of an actor and stand-up comedian, don't you mind, and a fucking podcaster in front of these fucking builders, right? One of them was going on to me about, what are you having for breakfast now? He says to me, I says, Irisher. I the old Weetabix, I says myself, you know, fucking deadly. You need a good shot of fucking something in the morning. Big fry for me now. A fry man every morning. Yeah. I says, I was thinking of knocking it on the fucking head. I says, a mate of mine there, he's on the old keto diet there, you know. And then I looked. I said,
yeah, you're in too deep then.
Yeah, and there was no putting that toothpaste back in the tube. I'd already.
Yeah.
I'd fucked myself.
The squeeze was on already.
Oh, so I had to follow through and explain it. Sure, here. These men had never a fag with whatever you're having in the way breakfast first thing in the morning, and a big heap of whatever you're having first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Oh, and the fact that I came out and said, "Oh no, I made mine there, but he won't touch a bit of grub till 12 o'clock in the day, and then he'll eat like a horse till 8." He reckons he's very productive. And even I'm going, what am I saying? Why am I continuing? Why? Just walk away.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, sure. Any times, even when it came down to the Hardy Book stuff, like if I was talking to certain neighbours, they'd be like, "Oh, how's the Hardy Book stuff going?" I just be like, "Fucking shite, absolute shite." Like I'd have to play it down. Like, that was the worst thing I ever thought to be doing in my life. I should have got a proper job. Like, just depending on the person you're talking to, you can either sound like daft or else, whatever.
By the power of the internet, we took a sabbatical for 2 days there. Owen didn't want to finish the episode with it not being his birthday, so he's dragged it over 3 days, which I appreciate. Happy birthday to you. What does a man get on his birthday when you're in lockdown? Did you get like a daisy chain or something made out of leaves?
Do you know back in the day, Tom, when it was your birthday, you'd always get like a card with a couple of quid in it, and you'd be delighted to be getting that.
Yeah.
And nowadays, I still expect it, but I'm only getting phone calls from my parents going, "Happy birthday," and then, "When are you coming back to see us?" "I know, I'll be back during the week." Sound, and then that's kind of pretty much it. Then I had a couple of drinks there at the house, and my missus looked after me. Now she made me a nice bit of grub, and that was kind of it. Then really, nothing else, because I was just. Didn't really think to do anything, and obviously with the lockdown, then there's not a whole lot of places you can go to. But it was a nice day though, so we were out in the garden. The neighbour's dog was in with us, so we had a nice chilled out time listening to some music. Can't complain.
That sounds lovely. A dog. Once there's a dog involved, you're grand. You line out in the grass, something wine.
Oh yeah.
And a dog shows up. Jesus Christ, you're just a party.
And a dog showed up, and it's not your dog, which is even better again, because that means you have to look after him full time, but you can, you can just dip in and out of his life.
Oh yeah, it's like when a dog shows up at a party or inside in a pub. When the dog comes in a pub, everybody gets excited, don't they?
Unbelievable. Yeah. Just like it's a woman magnet. If you're single and you're trying to get the hop, bring a little puppy into the pub with you.
Oh yeah. A proper cute looking yoke too. Like, it doesn't matter how stupid looking it is, just a cute little yoke. You're off to the race. And I do love the way our podcast, we start off with great intentions, and they all roll straight back to alcohol inside 2 minutes.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, I suppose we both like the sauce, but we never condone it though. Like, we're both, I think, on the path of trying to give it up.
Yeah, well, it's the demon that we're always fighting, isn't it? It's like, get back, you bastard. Oh, come here, give me a hug. Come back, you bastard. Another row with the fucking beer again. Like, for fuck's sake, that bastard. It's like an old cousin, that savage crack, but a fucking asshole. He'd break everything around the place and fucking eat everything inside the fridge, but you still have him around, like.
He'll turn on you. Yeah. He's great crack, but he'll turn on you in the front room.
Many's a bottle of beer fucking turned on me, I can tell you, but it was normally it was normally the 14th or 15th one. So I was looking up.
Christ.
I was looking up your birthday. Obviously today being May 27th, and I found, because it's a brilliant thing that anybody should look up. It's called Florida Man. This one, I remember this story because my sister is involved in kind of brain science and stuff, right? And I was asking her all about zombies. That's we could do a whole episode, right? So for the listeners, this happened May 27th, a couple of years back. So Miami police witnesses say that the officer was hit, that an officer shot a naked man who was chewing the face of another man on downtown Causeway off-ramp. And the Miami Herald reports gunshots were heard at 2 p.m. middle of the day, Owen. This who was ate in the face of a man on a bridge. Right. Saturday on the Causeway, witnesses said the woman saw two men fighting, lagged on the officer. Saw a naked man, not a stitch on him, mauling the other man. The newspaper quoted witnesses. So anyway, it skips through. So it turns out, right, he was gone stone mad. He'd gone fucking out of his bin, and it wasn't drugs or nothing. They reckon he had some sort of compulsion to eat humans. They only told half the story from the first fella he tried to eat that day either. And he was in some sort of transient state where the brain was after clicking over, and all he wanted to do was fucking eat humans. And I said to the sister, I says, how close are we to zombies? She goes, it wouldn't end up like zombies movie. That's just a roll of the dice, zombies in the movies. But it is possible, she said. It is possible that a protein
A
deficiency.
cannibal job.
Yeah, a protein deficiency could go wrong with a virus in the head. A little tweak of that in the old fucking down the old laboratory. We could be all a bunch of fucking zombies in 2 seconds, and that would have happened all on your birthday.
Christ, you're fucking giving me the willies now. So what? Like, when did that happen?
He was 2013, I think it was. But he went on a fucking rampage, that lad. He was making an impact, and he didn't want a stitch of clothing on him. I mean, no doubt you've gotten yourself into situations like it, but I don't think you've ever hit the head off a man, have you?
No, I have definitely haven't. Not planning to either. But like, Florida is a nutty old spot. You were saying you lived down there before, didn't you?
Tis stone mad, Owen. Tis stone mad. Like, there's to be knocking on fellas to go, yeah. And tis such, like, Mammy is wild anyway, but and Fort Lauderdale not as wild, but Miami is just, it's like two different fucking worlds, and neither one of them look anything like the world we live in. Like, one world, you're standing outside Versace's house, you know what I mean, and it's down on the beach, and it's ridiculous. Everybody, including the dogs, are a 10. It doesn't. It doesn't even look real, right? The way it looks like it's a staged part of the Truman Show. This place, but you go across the fucking town, and oh my Jesus! Oh,
how would the wild Irish lads fit into like places like that in America? I often wondered how would the lads you'd meet like on the street over here, or like the fellas you'd meet in different parts of Ireland, how would they fit into somewhere like that in Florida?
I don't know. I mean, when you're talking about the wild men, I don't think they'd fit in. I don't think that. Well, money talks, you see, and all them fellas are cute for money. And when you get out there, you realize, like you and I, if we opened a bar in the morning, should be if we could open a bar in the morning, if we were in Florida and we opened a bar, to be a success, no doubt.
Yeah.
Because if you play your cards right at all, you'll do all right there, like.
No, of course, yeah. You kind of have a head start in that sense, you know.
Yeah, but you see it
for
like
better or for worse.
You see Irish lads that have done well over there, like done.
Oh yeah,
fair well. You know what I mean? But I was out in the backwoods parts of Florida too, because it's such a huge, like you'd fit 5 or 6 Irelands into Florida. I was out with the cousin's husband there, and he's from, banjo playing fucking country, like. Oh my Jesus.
Yeah.
We're inside in this one spot. Do you remember the Dukes of Hazzard years ago?
Yes. Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Christ above.
Yeah.
My cousin has a condo down there. He's got a condo down there in Florida, and he's like, dude, you got to come down. These guys from Florida are fucking crazy. And I just want to go down there just for a week to see what would happen, because I just like to get involved and just like to experience how wild they can be and see what level I am in life compared to these people, because they're probably looking at people in Ireland thinking that we're a bit nuts, because we are nuts in our own way. Like there's a couple of lads like around Mayo, even you see them. Like there's one lad up the road, he's got a steering wheel on the bike, and it's just those kind of characters. They like I think Americans they're hardcore weirdos though. Whereas over here it's more like you could write an old poem about them, but in America it's kind of like stay well clear of that lad. That's that because it's more cutthroat over there, it seems.
Yeah. No, in agreement, because there'd be mad jokes talking to you on the bus and trains and stuff like that. But I think their level of mad that your cousin is talking about there, because I'm guessing your cousin has probably done well for himself or whatever, but I'd say the sort of mad fellas he knows, they're all Chads and Brads, if you know what I mean. And they go mad. They go mad at a party or whatever. But if you introduce them to Willie from down the road, who has a steering wheel on his bike, they wouldn't compute that at all. Like my they thought I was complete and utter fucking savagery altogether, but I probably was too. Do you know what I mean? It was the early 2000s. I wasn't the refined. I wasn't the refined figure that you know now, Owen. I was one.
But sometimes it's good to be that sort of wild, rambunctious sort of fella, because I think the thing about America that I do like is that you have to be the wildest version of yourself, and that's how you kind of make it, I think.
Yeah, I noticed lads that have been there a while, Irish fellas that have been there a good while.
Yeah,
they weren't you knew that's what they weren't like when they were at home. You know what I mean? Like
yeah. They're like an extended version of themselves.
I remember the fella. I was in Boston for a while, and the fella gave me a lend of a car to do my driving test, and your man was just pure. Where was he? Wexford. But this lad, even I'd say Wexford wouldn't accept him back. He was, and the whole of Boston was frightened of this fella. He was an animal, like just.
Yeah.
He fucking ate you without salt.
Like what kind of shite would he get up to?
We were laying piping outside this apartment block that he was after building, but we were doing the groundworks or whatever. And I remember going in one day. He had me driving because he just figured I was going to be handy to drive. I don't know why, but he did the Mexican fella driving for him. But he fucking drove the yoke off every pillar and post in the city. So, so he gave me this soft old number anyway. But I remember coming back one day and those lads, they were drywalling or something. I just heard the roaring first. So I said, fuck it, I have to go in and have a look at this. Because there was lads running out of the room on the ground floor. There was lads fucking running, ready to climb out windows and everything. Because he was a unit now. He was like 6'4", built like a fucking tree. And he'd gone in with a sledge. And you know when a man is walking into a room with a sledge and there's nothing to be broken, you know something's going down. Like, well,
not a good sign. Yeah.
Fucking bust up every wall inside there. They were long gone even. They ran out of the place. The Mexican lads he'd working. They were long gone out of it. They'd made it in balls of this job. Well, he went bananas and spent a good 20 minutes wrecking everything inside the roaring and shout. The next thing he came out the door, because I backed out at that stage. He came out the door and he told me, get back into that truck. So I sat in anyway. I wasn't saying it more. And he sat into the passenger seat. He just, right. What was the name of the fucking pub we used to go to? It was a Galway town name. Do you know, to something like fucking a Hascraw was the name of the pub. I had to drive him up.
Yeah.
I had to drive him up to that.
Port Tumlane, no, or something like that.
Just something like that now. And I had to drive him up to that anyway. And I said, well, right, I'll tip back. Well, you're fucked, tip back. Park up that cunt of the yoke. And in we went, and I had to drink with this angry man for about 5 hours.
Oh, Christ. It's America is a crazy place to be when you're drunk, because it's like, at the beginning, you're kind of looking around going, who are all these fucking nutters? And then you're kind of like, you become one of them because you're over there and you're steamed and it's a different energy over there.
Oh, yeah. Well, it definitely, like the two different places, like drinking in Florida was a different fucking beast altogether, because we went out with a frat house and they were all Brads and Chads. And they were...
Okay, yeah.
It was all about fucking who's the biggest gorilla, you know what I mean? But really...
Yeah.
When you got down to the core of it, they were all just a bunch of rich white kids who were talking shite. You know, shite talk, like, you know. But none of them were telling each other. They were like, if it was in Ireland, someone he'd pull the other fella aside and go, stop in and shite, you know, stop talking shite. All of these lads were in on the shite talk. So they were good crack, but a bit of a fucking dose, if you know what I mean. Like, but up in Boston, no, that was a different story. Like,
yeah. Did you go to a place called Ned Kelly's?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, they're so patriotic towards the Irish that even if they're 3 times removed, they're like, oh yeah, I used to have a great grandmother down in Cork, you know, and they let you away with stuff over there.
It was during Mayor what was his name? Giuliani's reign in New York at the time. Myself and another fella, Jerry. Jerry was straight out of Wish Cork. He was I'll tell you a story about Jerry on another podcast that will actually make you fucking cry. Jerry was like, he was built for the buildings, because he was such, like, I'd say to this day, he still hasn't met a woman, like, you know what I mean? But he's just
good enough.
You put a lovely fella to go on a session with, you know what I mean? No badness in him, as you'd say yourself. No badness.
Yeah.
He was too wild for a woman, like, you know, that kind of way. Just fucking.
Yeah.
We crossed the road up by Times Square. You were talking about it the last day about Mayo and green and red. We crossed, but Mayor Giuliani had brought in zero fucking tolerance on everything. He was cleaning up New York. There was nothing going down. So even to cross the road wrong, which they call jaywalking,
jaywalking, yeah.
You wander across your own way at a fucking angle, like, you know, which the two of us, we were on the sauce.
Yeah.
And we were on all day session. It was a lovely session. Now we fucking drank all the way from Manhattan up to the fucking Bronx. It was sobering up just enough between bars. And it was like,
that sounds like a dream. And then the energy of the place as well.
Oh, stopped us buzzing. It was a Friday and people were getting off work and starting drinking themselves at 3 o'clock. I'm sure we were in everybody's party. But we crossed the road at one stage to get across to Archer, to something now like fucking Dirty Nelly's or Spud Murphy's or some fucking thing, you know. And we crossed the road at an angle, and 2 cops came out of nowhere, and fucking cornered the 2 of us. What the hell are you guys doing? And they were ready to write us a ticket, like $100 each. And and Jerry pipes up and said, "Oh, Jesus, don't fucking arrest me! Don't arrest me!"
You're going to do hard slammer time with some top boys.
The boys are going to give us a fucking fine. That was it, But he turns around. I mean, your man caught me roaring laughing because Jerry never stopped making me laugh the way he spoke, especially when you had a few drinks in him. Right? And he goes, "Where you boys? Where you boys from?" Jerry says, "I'm from Ireland." He goes, "Oh, fucking really? I wouldn't have guessed. I meant where in Ireland." Should the two big bacon and cabbage heads in the two boys show.
Oh, you stand out a mile in America. Even the Irish stand out a mile. Like, you could be walking around. I remember I got to New York once. I was going out with a woman before from France, and we went to New York. We were living in Montreal at the time, and we came down to New York on a bus. And the first 3 lads we met were fucking Irish lads, and they were standing in the door with like, "How are you getting on?" And I knew I could see them about fucking half a mile away, and I was like, they're definitely Irish. And they were standing in the door, but we arrived there like at 6 o'clock in the morning because the bus, for whatever reason, it was a nighttime bus. It was cheaper to get there. And when we got there in the morning, 3 lads standing in the doorway, all smoking like just cigarettes in the claw, going, "How are you getting on?" And I just thought to myself, they're just clearly 3 lads who decided to keep going on the piss all fucking night long and just.
It's a genetic fucking thing, and I don't think any other nationality smoke fags in the claw either. There's
no,
like when
not like the Irish people, no.
There's no, like, if it was pissing rain and you were smoking a rollie, fair enough, because it will disintegrate. But lads that smoke out in the splitting heat inside the club, it's like a hard man way of doing it, isn't it?
Oh, it's because it's almost like you don't want your mother seeing it, so you're hiding it in the claw.
But your hand will stink afterwards, so she'll definitely smell it off you regardless. Like.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, the two cops, anyway, they turned around and like that, Jerry was like, where was he from? He was from near Kilbrittain, actually. He was down near where Collins was fucking shot. And, West Cork.
Right.
And your man started laughing. Sure, the 2 name badges was fucking Murphy and McCarthy on the 2 guys. And he says, "Where are you from?" And I didn't want to say it because I knew what was coming. But they were going to write us a ticket if I didn't play ball. I went, "I'm from Tipperary." "Oh, is it?" And that simultaneously, "Is it a long way?"
Yeah.
You have to laugh along and go, yeah. And basically, we told the lads, in fairness to them, they were half tempted to jack for the day. Because we says, "Listen, guys, we're on the fucking tear here. We're fucking staying going all day. We have a ball of money in our pockets and we're fucking staying on the river." Because we just went to New York for 2 days of session and no plans. We're just going to tip into every place we could and stay drinking for as long as we could. The 2 boys, I'm not cutting you, the 2 cops were looking at each other like, "Where are you heading today?"
Yeah, would anyone miss them? Like,
you could turn off the radio, you'd be all right, to be grand, They didn't in the end, but
in fairness, like those pubs over there, like in America, like there's so many nationalities like vie in for the same place and everything like that. But the Irish, the 2 places they got into was the police up in Boston there mostly, and then the pubs in New York. And it's just like I was actually shocked at how many Irish pubs there are in New York, because I obviously that's one of our best exports is the pub. But the amount that was in New York and up there in Woodlawn and different spots like that, it's just nuts altogether. Manhattan and loads of different spots,
I did have a fondness for when I was in Boston. They did look after you. The second time, I'd gone out of Boston and I was only going over for a week to visit Jerry, because Jerry was over there illegally. And so he couldn't visit me in the airport. He couldn't pick me up in the airport. He was full sure the feds were going to be on him. Jerry was fucking plastered for a living over there.
They wouldn't give a fuck.
In Boston, they wouldn't give a fuck. And he was a well-known plasterer at this stage because he was good. So, the DEA were going to kick down your door, Jerry. But
you plastered too many walls, Jerry. It's time for you to go back to Ireland.
I got in about 8:30, 9 o'clock, and I kind of knew the way. We were going to the name of the pub, the Holy Ground. I can't remember. It was in Quincy anyway. There was a bunch of pubs. It was Cork, Dublin, Galway. They were all owned by different people, and they had their flags out and everything like. But he was inside the Cork pub anyway, and the taxi driver sat in with the taxi driver. Taxi driver had only gotten in on the flight ahead of me. He was from Africa. The man was like, "Hello, where are you going?" I explained where I was going. "Now, do you know what that is?" Because I don't know what that. I said, "Oh, for the love of fuck!" So I got out of the back and sat in the front. And I said, "I have a rough idea where it is anyway." So by the time I got there, it was about 10:10, and the 2 doormen came across the road, took my bags out of the boot for me, and come on to fuck. One of the boys, he was just a big ox of a lad from Dublin who was on the door. "Come on to fuck," he says, "Man, man, we're waiting for you inside. And I said, we're waiting. You're the what? I walked in. There was a big pub full of people. Yay! As if it was a homecoming.
Oh, no way.
And
brilliant, man. That's a fucking welcome in. That's a brilliant one.
It was unreal. And the chef had left on a heap of stew for me and everything. He says, that man will be starving. Now, the stew wasn't the greatest, I will say. You know, but a big bowl. And I sat there up at the bar and lads were coming over, patting. And I was nearly like they were rubbing. They wanted to rub a bit of Ireland off me. You know what I mean? Because they were all missing home, like something serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a place up there in Woodlawn, Tom, and it's called Keen's Bar. And nearly the same thing happened to me. I got up there. I had to come up from the bottom of New York all the way up to the top. And as I landed in the front door of the place, the fella that owned the place, Seamus Keane, or I forget, I think his name is Seamus something. He said, do you want some sausages? And I was like, oh, I'd love some. And he made me sausages and potatoes and then some carrots before the stage, a bit of gravy. And then I was going around and I had to go on stage like in about half an hour.
All right.
And just went up and I was meant to be doing a fucking gig and I was absolutely swelled with all the food. But I remember asking before the gig then, I was like, what time? Because I was a bit late for the gig. You know the way the subways and everything like that, you're hopping on subways and traffic up there in America is crazy. I remember saying to him, what time was I meant to start the gig at? He goes, yeah, about 5 hours ago. I was like 5 fucking hours late. But I got up on the stage eventually anyways. But I remember looking around the crowd and there was all these Irish people and they were all steamboats and it was camogie. They were raising money for the camogie teams there. And I remember thinking, fuck me, this place is just crazy. Like Woodlawn is just like, it's like the Wild West.
Yeah, I was never up there. I heard though it was Irish Central. Like.
Nuts. Oh man, it was fucking nuts. But I mean, as you said, like they love when a new lad comes in from Ireland. They just want to kind of bring him in. They'll be like, come on, you get a job like that in 2 seconds if you moved over.
Like quite literally 5 minutes into ate me all bowl of stew and chatting with Jerry.
Yeah.
A fella came over and he just gave me his business card. He was a builder. He says, can you drive? I seem to get offered these driving jobs. Can you drive? I said, I can, yeah. I fucking practically drove that fucking cab here. Grand. He said, you can start in the morning if you want. And he was starting on good money. It was something like $18 an hour or something. And I says, lad, I have a job at home, but I tell you.
I'd be half tempted.
I was fair thinking about it because Jerry was making about fucking $2,000 a week, I'd say.
But you'd be spending half that then early again.
But sure, he was. Jerry, when I met him then, he was blown out all over the place from the beer, like, sure. He was after putting on about 3 stone, like, he at that stage now, he had 2 lads working for him, so he was taking a bit of a back seat, and, you know, he was probably sending a few pound home to a bank, you know, just to keep the mother happy or whatever, but he was definitely, as you say yourself, he was swelled.
Swelled from the sauce. I've been there. Yeah. But that's the thing. That's one of the main reasons why I don't think I'd ever move to America, because it's, as I said, it's like the Wild West. I don't think there's almost like, you know, like in Ireland, if you go on the beer too much in your own town, people will be like, geez, you're right there. Like, you know, how's everything? How's the parent? Like, they'd almost be like, almost giving you sort of subtle dig and go home to fuck. Like, but in America, there's no one telling you to go home.
Getting away from, so we ran down the road of how lovely America is and all the rest of the good crack it is. So I was wanting to talk to you about this. You alluded, well, you just sent me a kind of a message saying something about sports or a coach or something. I'm guessing it wasn't hurling or windsailing. It was it Gaelic football? It
was Gaelic football, yeah, because that's the main breed of sport there in Mayo. Everyone either plays soccer, Gaelic football, or handball. They're the 3 main ones in Mayo.
Handball is still big. It's big in Leinster, all right. It's still big in Kilkenny.
Yeah, no, it's big in Mayo. Yeah, there's plenty of handball alleys around the place. But anyways, in school, like that's I remember I used to be like a soccer man, to be honest, even though it never set with me to be a soccer man. I always I probably should like Gaelic football and I probably should learn Irish to be properly patriotic. But I should be a big fan of United back in the day. But then I remember one of my teachers was Martin Kearney. I don't know if you know him, but he'd be always on the GA commenting. Yeah. He used to be my teacher. Like he used to teach me honors maths. But I did it for like 2 weeks, and then I had to knock it on the head because I was shite. I hadn't a clue what he was on about. He'd be on about fucking algebra and just Pythagoras' theorem, as if I cared about that. But anyways, he also teaches at lunchtime. He teaches Gaelic football. So I remember one time going, like, he never had time for me at all. Like, I remember one time I caused trouble in the class, and he goes, Owen, what would your mother think of this behavior? And it just like really sort of like, and I was like, She probably wouldn't care, to be honest. Just to wind him up, even though and he was raging.
I have a picture of you at the back of the class, like a 12-year-old Owen at the back of the class with a fag inside the claw. Or she be grand.
Oh, stop. One or two, just she wouldn't give two fucks, eh? And if she does, she can fuck off.
And then immediately the camera pans over to your mother, who's standing just outside the window, smoking a fag in the claw as well, going, "Oh, sure, he's grand."
I raised him well.
Here, Owen, throws out the skins.
Did you bring the roaches to school again, you cunt? But there was one lunchtime. He was like, "Right, we're going to go down now to the tech." It was called the tech, and there was a football pitch behind it, like a Gaelic pitch. He goes, "We're going to go down there now. We're going to play a bit of ball." So I was like, "Sam, we'll go down." And I went down anyways, and I was sure I'm only 5'9" now. Never mind, the time I was about 5'6", and all the lads were like, "There's like, do you know the way like some lads would be taller, like so." There was one in particular, heartthrob in the class that everyone fancied, and he was good at football. And I was like, "I'll show this cunt." And I just gave it fucking everything. For 1 hour, I gave it everything. And I was grabbing balls, and I was knocking balls over the bar. And I was like, "Jesus Christ, maybe not too bad at this." And he never gave me one compliment for the whole game. Not one. For the whole training session, he never said one thing to me. And I marked the other lad out of this. Now, he is much better than me. He was much better than me. But for one game, I marked him out of it. But the other coach, the fucking, not the manager, but the sort of, the side manager. What you call him again? The side manager. Assistant coach.
Assistant coach, yeah.
It goes to show you how much I know about it. The sub coach. Well, he was like watching me. Do you know what, Owen, I actually want you, would you mind coming to a game there one of the days? And I was like, no bother at all. So I went to one of the games anyways, and it was played at the main pitch. I think we were playing Kelchima, which is the town over from us. So I was on the subs bench, and we were hammering them, absolutely hammering them. But on the sideline, I was just like passing a ball with some other lad, and it was very cold at the time. And I remember for some reason, whatever way, like, the Gaelic footballs, the O'Neills, they were like kicking a block of concrete. Whatever way, like I kind of really I tried to keep hitting the ball with the lacers, but whatever way, it hit the top of my toe, and it went straight into your man's sort of temple. And he just went down, he goes, "Oh, God."
Which coach was this?
He goes, "Oh, God."
The assistant.
This is not Karen, this is the assistant, the fella that wanted me up playing. And he goes, "Oh, God." And he went down his honkers for about 2 minutes, and I kept going to him. She said, I'm sorry, manager. Like, I was only about 13, and he was a grown man at the time, still is. But he's a grown man, and he was like, "Oh, God." And then Carney turned around and he goes, What's happening? What's happening? And then the team was still going on, like the game was still going on. But he goes, "Colgan's after kicking the ball at me." And he started crying. And actually, like, our subs were looking at him going, why is he crying? Like, did he bring up something from his childhood or what happened? And then Carney, even the teacher had to go, "No, I don't think he meant it. It's grand." And then the assistant coach goes, No. He meant to do it. Sure, I just kicked the ball up. Like, I completely miskicked the ball. But ever since that, then I never played GAA football ever again.
Just a fully grown man down on his honkers.
Fully grown man.
As
he said he meant to do it, as if I meant to do it. Like, I mean, to this day, like, I can't get over why he said that. I don't know what happened. Did I hit some nerve in his head or what?
Again, I have a picture of a 13-year-old Owen standing with a fag in a claw. Eyeballing Carney in your full kit. Eyeballing Carney, going, "You're fucking right. I meant to fucking do it."
Oh, Christ, yeah. But
looks up to his mother in the stands. She's there with a flag in the claw.
"Good job, son."
That's my boy.
But it was like he took it out in the whole family. You'd be at mass, and you'd be looking over them like at mass. You know the way, like, you'd be looking around the back of mass. You'd be like, "I wonder who's come in for a pray." And you'd see him, and he might turn around to you and be like, and then he'd turn away. Or else, if you're standing beside him, and you know that part of mass where you're like, now it's time to shake hands with everyone in the church. Well, that like at that point he'd be like, I'm not shaking hands with you. He wouldn't shake hands with you. He wouldn't say that, but like he'd kind of like turn his back to you. There was definitely something changed. There was a bit of a bond that was broke there.
That's unreal. That could be one thing if you kicked him in the nuts. He'd have a reason for being a pain. And then to turn around and go, Sir Colgan meant to do it, sir. Have you ran into him since in recent times?
No, I haven't. I haven't seen him in years. Like I can't even go up to him now, and I can't walk up to him and say, remember that time I made you cry? Because it wouldn't make sense, At the end of the day, Tom, it was 100% accident. The ball, it was very cold. The ball was very heavy. I think there was a bit of water in the ball. I did kick it hard, but it didn't warrant tears. And it didn't warrant him saying to a child, he meant to do it.
Because I thought it was going to be an emotional thing you did to somebody like that. You broke them down over years. That you made a teacher cry, but you just one slap of a fucking ball and this fellow went down like a sack of buds.
I've often, anytime I see a football now, I'm like, I wonder how heavy they are. I'm just like, so maybe I just caught him in a funny way. Do you ever get caught with a football on the ear on a cold day and you're like, oh yeah, go on that ear.
Or you put the hands up with forgetting to put the thumbs behind, and the next thing the ball prangs straight off the top of your fingers.
Oh, stop. Yeah, no, that's what I was thinking. Maybe I caught him somewhere in the head. That the same sort of effect happened to him. Maybe he hadn't his breakfast that morning and maybe something else had happened to him. I don't know. Maybe he had an argument with the wife or something.
As your mother stands behind going, fucking.
But to tell you one thing, Tom, I've a few other fairly funny stories when it comes to the Gaelic football. There was another time as well, we were playing some team and they only had 14 players. And I think actually even we might have given them one or two players. Sure, like the players that we gave them, they were just passing the ball back to our own team. But I remember we were hammering them anyways. It must have been like it was a Gaelic football game. We're hammering them by about 20 or 30 points. But the manager, Carney, again said to me, he goes, Colgan, come on, get ready, you're coming on. And I was like, nah, I'll leave it. And like this was during like school hours. So like, if you were going to the games, you kind of had to come on. I was like, nah, just cut me arse. I'm glad. He goes, come on, there's 20 minutes left. Come on. I was like, no. And he's like, Colgan, you fucker. Come on, get the fuck on. So I come on then, and I was like, and he was roaring at me for the whole game. He goes, would you fucking run for it, will you? And I was like, I don't even want to be on here, mate. This is your choice. But I got the ball and I did a bit of tapping around the place. But Gaelic football is a hard sport, I wasn't really that much into it. Not as much as that lad. And he clearly he's into it a lot because he commentates on the GA the whole time. And he's a very good commentator, but man to man, I deserve an apology from that man. But swings and roundabouts, I should apologize to the other lads. So
well, who knows? You might have a fucking cannon of a right foot on you and you didn't know it. They didn't develop it.
Well, that's the thing. But Tom, I kind of liked soccer. I hate saying that word soccer, but I like soccer more. Like one time we were in training up at the pitch there. And I remember the ball fell onto the ground. I tapped the ball around one lad, kept the ball on the ground, I didn't pick it up. I ran around him and then I scored a lovely goal. And the manager didn't even say anything to me. He goes, he looked over me as if to say, nah, I'm not counting that one because you didn't pick up. They were all about, you better pick up that ball. That's what Gaelic football's all about. They didn't want to see soccer at all. They hated it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Sure. I mean, yeah. There was lads that were Gaelic footballers in our school. They crossed over, and we got to have, because we went to just a regular vocational school, a regular tech, and we got to have a rugby team in sixth year because the principal fucked off for, I don't know, took a year out or something. But the fella that came in went, oh yeah, because it wasn't posh rugby clubs, it was all just country boy rugby clubs, because that's the way it is in Munster, you know what I mean? I'll never forget, there was two lads playing on a minor football team, Tipperary football team, two twin brothers, fucking huge, but even in junior cert year, they were 6'4" or something. Both fucking rockets. Didn't know one end of a rugby ball from the other, but sure, it didn't matter. Put two of them out in the wings. They were fucking bullets. This is like, I swear to God, this is like something out of the Hardy box, right? This would have been late 90s, where anybody to do with GA hated rugby at the time. But this fella actually rang the mother's house, the landline, and muffled his voice, right? The old fella answered the phone, who's as cool as a fucking breeze. He answered the phone, and this fella put a cloth over it. He's like, is that you, Bill? Is that you? That young fella of yours? is coaching our football players. And the old man put him on loudspeaker. He was in fucking stitches. He called me down the stairs. You have to hear this. He says, tell him to cut that shit out. He says, playing that fucking old Protestant sport. The man didn't know what to say to him, man. He says, but sure, just the off season. He says, anyway, it's just perfect to keep the boys fit. Let him go to fuck. He says,
yeah.
And he covered his. Shouldn't the father knew full well who your man was? Like, he was going for the fuck, you go away, fuck off. But like, I didn't get a look in with the GA at home, not really, because the father was a blow-in. He's from about 20 miles away, so he would have been considered blow-in. So unless your father was from around the area, you weren't getting a fucking sniff. And I was okay. Yeah. I was a mulliker of a footballer. I was ignorant enough that while I didn't have the talent that was really needed to be a good footballer, I was like an old dog. I'd just hang off you. But it wasn't until the rugby came good, all of a sudden, to say the same cunt that muffled his voice came over the road. Well, Bill, leaned up against the door. Well, Bill, it's the uncle inside. And at this stage now, we'd won championships and everything with the rugby. Like, might have a word with him there. It's all right. This shit, like, I was like 16 or 17, and man came out and says, "Now it's just the rugby. The rugby is one thing." He said, "I'd love to have you playing a bit of football now on the off season of the rugby." I says, "You mean like the off season when I brought the little boys over to play?" I says, "You muffled your voice on the phone." That wasn't me. How do you know what I'm fucking talking about? I didn't. I thought the fucking outlet that had been picked up off the ground. He said, your man bulleted out.
That's fucking brilliant.
Out the fucking yard, your man bulleted into the car. The outlet was shouting, "Come back, you're a great crack with the kettle boiling. Come in." He still to this day denies doing it.
Oh, Christ. I'll tell you one thing, it's a funny old world, the old GA in Ireland, especially, I mean, nowadays, professional, it's a bit more like soccer, but like, there used to be a lad that called over to the house, and he, like, an old lad, he was in his, at the time, like, everyone seems old at the time, but I'd say he must have been in his 50s. He'd come over to the house with a Gaelic football, and myself and my parents, like, we'd be just sitting in the living room watching television, and he goes, "Geez, your son is good at football." And like, my parents would be like, "All right, yeah, fair enough, you know, but we're kind of watching TV." He'd be like, "Oh no, but he's very, very good. Like, he's got great potential." And then he'd balance a ball on his nose, but like, he'd bend back his head and he'd balance a ball on his nose. And my parents would be looking over and going, "Geez, that's good." And he goes, "Yeah, it's very good, mate." And like, he'd do that for 5 or 10 minutes, and he just keeps saying, "Just Owen has some potential." My parents were like, "Who's that lad?" Like, and I was like, "Oh, he's like one of the kind of side coaches." He was like another coach. He was like a points coach where he'd teach you how to curve the ball over the bar. But he'd call over to the house randomly, and he'd just let himself in almost to the house. And then he'd be just balancing a ball as my parents were watching a country practice or some other shite that was on TV. It was a funny old setup back in the day, wasn't it?
Do you know what? We might have to look into maybe writing a short sitcom or something based around the GA. GA tied in with the buildings.
Oh, stop. 100%, yes. Yeah, 100%, yeah. Hand in hand, I think. They go hand in hand.
Would we stick a fork in it there, Owen? Would we? That was a story.
Sounds good to me, Tom.
I don't think I can take much more after that story. That's oh my God, what a brilliant one. What a celebration of your 27th birthday, was it, you said?
A couple of numbers onto that. 36 today.
36 today. My God. Well, you've outlived Jesus anyway, so that's good.
But sure, look, this is a good landmark of it now. At least we have it registered for the rest of our lives on a podcast.
Exactly. Right. Thank you very much for listening. That's been the Harden Up Podcast. We've been Owen Colgan.
Tom Mahony.
Hit subscribe if this is your first time listening. I got some great messages during the week. Lads are going bananas for it, though. They're going bananas in the lockdown for the podcast. It's
building. It's building. There's an energy building there. I get messages from people saying it's good crack. They're enjoying it. When are you doing the next one? So it's building slowly. And as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. We're going to build Rome, Tom. We're going to build the Colosseum. And we're going to be inside there with our chariots riding around the place, kicking ball.
Howard, just don't bounce it off anybody's fucking head. As your mother stands.
Julius Caesar, he meant to do it.
As your mother stands there dressed as Julius Caesar, just smoking a fag inside her hand.
I like that. I like that. The image of that. My mother in every situation just smoking roadies going, "That's the babbing."
O'Neill, goodbye. You're doing your mammy proud. As she gives the thumbs up across the Coliseum.
Good job. Imagine someone going around with a box of Amberleaf in the Coliseum. Did it ever happen? I don't know. No, but do give the podcast a like. We would appreciate it. We're enjoying the crack. It's a great outlet for for stories and stuff like that. Nostalgia, you know.
Oh, it is. And also give it a 5-star rating if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, because that allows more people to see it and in turn shares the goodwill. If you don't even want to do any of that, just grab a screen grabber where you're listening to, tag one of us in it, or tag the Harden Up Podcast now on Instagram. So we'll repost it out there for everybody to find it out. We're on all the usual platforms. We'll be coming to a town near you when this lockdown ends, and we can actually make some plans and get it out on the road. Because sure, look at myself and Owen are just going to smoke fags, eat mate, and drink pints all over Ireland while doing podcasts, probably in your home.
Sounds like an absolute dream, Tom.
Owen, goodbye.
God bless you, Tom. Chat to you soon, horse.
Chat to you soon.
Good luck, Tom. Take care.
Good luck.